Hey guys, Matt here, and today we're going to be taking a look at a disc that almost everyone bags something of this type. It's a high-speed bomber driver. These are generally glidey, slightly understable, and a lot of companies have at least one in their lineup. You got the Innova Shrike, the RPM Kahoo, Discraft Hades, a lot of different discs, Thrasher even from Discraft, as well as the Nuke SS. And I'm going to be taking a look at the ones from the Trilogy brands tonight. They each make one that are stable to understable, and usually build is slightly more overstable than they are. And I've got the dynamic disc Sherriff in fusion plastic, the Lat64 Opto Ballista, and the Westside VIP King. All of these are speed, I think they're all speed 14 drivers, but they're 13 or faster, and have a significant amount of high-speed turn and fade. And if you get a look at the profiles, they all have sharpish wings with lower parting line heights. So they should all turn a little bit, glide pretty well, and then fade hard and late. Let's give them a few shots and see how they do. Okay, on the first round of throws, I got the Ballista way too low. It only went about 335, skipping along the ground, but decent distance for a pretty terrible throw, and it was dead straight, so usable, even if not so great on my part. The Sherriff was a little over 350. It was also on the low side. See if I can fix that a little bit, but decent distance and also dead center of the fairway. King was about 380, a little bit better full flight. And we'll see if we can't do a little bit better with all of them. Okay, on that set of throws, the King was the shortest. It was only about 335. The Ballista was next. It showed the most turn, but it was only about 350. And then the Sherriff was the longest at about 365. But my footing over there is kind of disintegrating. It's really wet today. I was slipping all over the place throwing. So I'm going to try a different spot where I can throw on concrete and see if that helps. Okay, on that one, the throw of the King was another pretty bad one. Turned it over bad. It was barely 300 feet. The Ballista, however, was really good. That was a little over 400. It turned a good bit, but straightened out and skipped pretty good. So great throw there. It's my best one distance-wise so far. And it was basically another boring 375 slight hyzer with the Fusion Sherriff. It seems like that's the only throw I've had good success doing with it, but it's done it almost every time in between 360 and 375 and done it pretty well. I'm gonna try some forehands now and see how that goes. So I overturned both the Sherriff and the King on that one. I'm not used to throwing understable disc forehand very often. They were both a little short of 300. The Ballista, on the other hand, flipped up really nicely, rode out to just short of 400. It was like 385. Nice little skip, pretty good result. See if I can't do a little bit better on the next round. Okay, so of the 3 Trilogy bombers we tried out today, the least understable probably was the Fusion Sherriff. It did pretty well on backhands, especially with a little bit of hyzer. It was out in the 350 to 375 range on the reg. Forehands, I got it out 300, 350 a little bit, but once it flipped, it was flipping. There's no coming back, just like the other 2 as well. Once they had decided they were not going to come back, they did not. The one that I was most familiar with was actually the King, and it does one thing really well. Those backhand hyzers, it was one of the longer backhand hyzers I threw, but that's really the only thing I had good success with it. It was the worst forehand disc of the 3. I couldn't hardly keep it in the air and didn't really enjoy the way it was flying. Even on a higher hyzer line, it was still just flipping for me. Now, I was not anticipating liking the Ballista, but the Opto Ballista did really, really well. It was my longest disc, both forehand and backhand, a little over 400 feet backhand and just short of at 385-ish forehand. I didn't expect as flippy as it seemed to do well forehand, but on a hyzer flip, it held the line pretty nicely. It turned, it came back, got a nice little skip, and sat down nice. So overall, of the 3, the Ballista was my favorite, but if you are into that type of disc, you could probably make any of them work for you as long as you give them a bit of hyzer. For a lower powered player, they probably all be fine out to about 350 feet for you. And for someone who throws harder than I do, which backhand is a lot of you guys, they'd probably all be a little bit less stable. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Hope you guys have a good night. Thanks a lot.